more ways to extend a helping hand. The financial programs we design with our business partners focus on creating a safety net for devoted employees. We believe secure and happy employees are essential to a successful business.
Nandito ako nung nagpa-practice magbike ng anak ko.
Nandito ako nung nag-birthday si Mommy.
Dito ako nag-celebrate ng wedding anniversary namin.
Distance will always be a problem. So choose a home that makes life more fulfilling by bringing you closer to everything that matters the most. Arezzo Place Pasig. Live fulfilled.
Finma Properties, making room to build your future.
Hi, I'm Mel, and I am choosy. My ultimate skin goal is gusto kong mag-even out ang skin tone ko.
Hi, my name is Gian Anwada. My skin goals are to become whiter, fairer, healthier, and younger.
It really shows na yung skin ko ngayon mas moisturized, mas glowing, and mas healthy.
Thanks to Glutasy, I got my skin tone back. Thank you so much, Glutasy.
Every coffee needs a lotus.
What's the secret to beauty's beauty?
Langis.
Ito ba lahat ang gamit mo?
Ay hindi. Isa lang ang gamit ko for all. Moringa O2 Therapy Oil. Hindi lang malunggay. Meron ding olive oil and omega from sunflower oil.
This therapy oil helps relieve my dry and irritated skin.
It helps lighten my scars and stretch marks.
It helps make my hair young and healthy.
This is our beauty secret.
Sana all.
Sana oil.
give employers more ways to extend a helping hand. The financial programs we design with our business partners focus on creating a safety net for devoted employees. We believe secure and happy employees are essential to a successful business.
Nandito ako nung nagpa-practice magbike ang anak ko.
Nandito ako nung nag-birthday si Mommy.
Dito ako nag-celebrate ng wedding anniversary namin.
Distance will always be a problem. So choose a home that makes life more fulfilling by bringing you closer to everything that matters the most. Arezzo Place Pasig. Live fulfilled.
Finma Properties, making room to build your future.
Hi, I'm Mel, and I am choosy. My ultimate skin goal is gusto kong mag-even out ang skin tone ko.
Hi, my name is Gian Anwada. My skin goals are to become whiter, fairer, healthier, and younger.
It really shows na yung skin ko ngayon mas moisturized, mas glowing, and mas healthy.
Thanks to Glutasy, I got my skin tone back. Thank you so much, Glutasy.
Every coffee needs a lotus.
What's the secret to beauty's beauty?
Langis.
Ito ba lahat ang gamit mo?
Ay hindi. Isa lang ang gamit ko for all. Moringa O2 Therapy Oil. Hindi lang malunggay. Meron ding olive oil and omega from sunflower oil.
This therapy oil helps relieve my dry and irritated skin.
It helps lighten my scars and stretch marks.
It helps make my hair young and healthy.
This is our beauty secret.
Sana all!
Zero oil.
Give employers more ways to extend a helping hand. The financial programs we design with our business partners focus on creating a safety net for devoted employees. We believe secure and happy employees are essential to a successful business.
Nandito ako nung nagpa-practice mag-bike ang anak ko.
Nandito ako nung nag-birthday si Mommy.
Dito ako nag-celebrate ng wedding anniversary namin.
Distance will always be a problem. So choose a home that makes life more fulfilling by bringing you closer to everything that matters the most. Arezzo Place Pasig. Live fulfilled.
Finma Properties, making room to build your future.
What's the secret to beauty's beauty?
Langis.
Ito ba lahat ang gamit mo?
Ay hindi. Isa lang ang gamit ko for all. Moringa O2 Therapy Oil. Hindi lang malunggay. Meron ding olive oil and omega from sunflower oil.
This therapy oil helps relieve my dry and irritated skin.
It helps lighten my scars and stretch marks.
It helps make my hair young and healthy.
This is our beauty secret.
Sana all.
Zero oil.
Okay, and we're live. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to our Zoom participants and good morning to our FB Live viewers. Don't forget to share our e-learning this morning. So, welcome to another series of our HR Virtual Summit PH Bounce Back HR. This is another live webinar series for a cause powered by Ariva Academy. So, our topic for this morning is Guidepost for Now of Work. So we have invited another global keynote speaker, and later you will be meeting him. So my name is Irish Malonda, and I will be your host. And joining me is Mr. Howell Mabalot as our moderator. Hello, Sir Howell. Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Irish. I'd like to ask one question. Can you hear me clearly?
Clearly, sir.
Oh, great.
111.
And you look great today, as always.
Thank you. So join me, Sir Howell, in welcoming our participants from overseas. Welcome and thank you for joining us this morning. Our participants from Regensburg, Germany. Wow. Kowloon, Hong Kong. Surabaya, Indonesia. Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Hilversum, Netherlands. Singapore. White Bear Lake, Minnesota, United States. Hermosa Beach, California. Malibu, California, United States. Thank you for joining us today. And in order for us to have a smooth flow of our e-learning session, here are the house rules and reminders. So who are the first-time viewers here in our webinar? Please type in hi in the chat box now. Let me know as well, where are you from? Where are you watching so we can greet you? Okay, hi Regina, Liz Season, Miguel Pacheco, Jennifer, okay, Joanne, Miles, welcome to our e-learning session. Ms. May Ong. Okay, let's do a sound check. You will be needing a good quality headset and use the following codes. Type in now 111 to show if you can hear us, okay? While waiting for your responses, I would like to greet first our FB Live viewers, Ms. Lori Cabelin Pabellon from Pivao and Yasichi Ocampo Dayanan. Thank you for watching our e-learning session. Okay, so far 111, Ms. Ruby, thank you. Miles, Francisca Ruedas, good morning. Sir Pablo Gabi, 111, clear, loud and clear, audible. Okay, 222 means you cannot hear us. 2121 means the sound is breaking, and question mark if you don't understand anything. Okay, so far 111, loud and clear and audible. Moving on, we will be having a quick break later after the presentation of our guest speaker and before we move on to our question and answer portion. For our Q&A guidelines, participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by the administrator during discussion to avoid interruptions. Questions will be entertained after each topic of the session. For questions and clarifications during the provided time after each topic, please click the raise hand button for the administrator to enable the microphone for live questions. Yes, later at the Q&A portion, we will entertain live questions from our audience. Okay, type in your questions at the Q&A box. Again, at the Q&A box, not at the chat box. One question at a time will be entertained. For comments and feedback, please scan this QR code. This will be directed to our feedback form. Please send us your comments, suggestions, topics to discuss for us to improve our future e-learning sessions. Okay, to discuss Guidepost for Now of Work, Mr. Howell Mabalot, please introduce our global keynote speaker for this morning.
Thank you, Madam Irish Malonda Samson, for the honor to present to you our speaker for today. He is a global keynote speaker, industry analyst, thought leader, and consultant on human resources and workforce experience. He is the co-founder and CEO of Leapgen, a digital transformation company shaping the now of work. Author of The Ultimate Guide to a Digital Workforce Experience, Leap for a Purpose, he seeks to broaden executive mindset to rethink how to better design and deliver employee services. He is based in Los Angeles, California, but enjoys learning and sharing around the world, even virtually. So please welcome, for today's webinar on the new Guideposts for the Now of Work, our speaker, Mr. Jason Averbook. Welcome, Sir Jason.
Hi, how are you?
We're great, How are you, sir?
I'm great. Great to see you. I'm 111. I can hear you and I can see you perfectly. So we're off to a good start.
Yes, sir. So what will happen now is we will be giving you the center stage, the limelight, so you can proceed with the presentation. And eventually, after the presentation, I will be facilitating the Q&A.
Okay. Sounds good. Howell, thank you so much for the nice introduction also. I really, really appreciate it.
Welcome, sir.
Okay, so we're going to jump right in. Let me make sure we get to the right screen here. Thank you for all that are attending, and I hope that you find our session today very, 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 very valuable as we go through. Howell, can you see my screen? Is everything okay there?
Yes, sir. Everything is okay. Everything is clear.
Perfect. Perfect. Hi, Jane. Thank you for saying hi. You guys, I love the interaction. So, please feel free to interact as you go through on the webinar chat. I always do this when I start. I will put my LinkedIn information in the chat. Please connect with me on LinkedIn, and let's get going. So it's a fascinating time. It's a fascinating time, and it's a fascinating time to be doing an event like this around the world with a bunch of great people like yourselves.
So
really
Jason,
quickly, yes.
I hate to interrupt you, but what we're seeing now are your share screen with 2 slides on. Can you share it?
Oh, sure. Let me see what's look. Is that any better?
We're not seeing anything anymore. We're seeing your camera, but a while back, we're seeing the 2 slides for the presenter's screen.
Sure. Let me. Is that still not working? Try one more time.
Yes, sir. No problem. This is the beauty of live webinars. It's full of surprises.
Still seeing 2 screens?
Right now, we're not seeing anything. We're seeing your screen now. But okay, so it's in the presenter's view, Sir Jason. It was in the presenter's view. Right now, we're seeing. Great, that's better, sir. Now we're seeing. You just have to click the start presentation or play. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And
How's that?
I'm sorry. Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Is that better?
Way better, sir.
Howell, what would I do without you? Thank you so much for being here. So really quickly, what we do at Leapgen is work with organizations around the world and helping them think through what used to be called the future of work. We now call the now of work. We've gotten to this point in the last 10 weeks where we used to talk about the future, and bang, all of a sudden we're in the now. We're working distributed, as it looks like Howell's working distributed today. I'm working distributed, as you can see. Some people like to use the word virtual. I don't really like virtual. I just like to use the word distributed. We're working in this new distributed model, and we in the human resources field, we in this profession have some big obligations going forward. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about throughout the session here. So I'm going to give you a couple things that I want you guys to think about. The first thing is this discussion around what we do. It says what we do, but I'd like you to think about it as far as what you do. So what do you do as HR professionals? What do you do as HR professionals? You really do 3 things. You develop a strategy. You develop a strategy based on the need to meet a goal within your organization. You deploy that strategy. Okay, you make sure that strategy gets deployed, that it gets adopted, that organizations adapt to the needs, the goals of that strategy, and then you sustain it, or you focus on the ROI, the run, optimize, innovate of that. And when it comes to sustaining it, that's where the value comes into play. So I really want you guys, as we go through the presentation here, to think through that, to think through these 3 things. And really anything that you do back in your organization should be focused on these 3 things: having a strategy, deploying that strategy, and then thinking about how do I sustain that strategy going forward. So what we're going to do today, most of our presentation is going to be talking about the response, our response as HR leaders, HR professionals, IT leaders to this concept of the now of work, and laying out some very, very clear, consistent guideposts for you to use. Okay. The latter part of the presentation, as Howell discussed and as Irish discussed, will be open for questions. We'll be open for questions, comments. You guys can throw things at me, whatever you want to do. And by the way, for those of you that that like to chat throughout the session, I will be looking at the chat as well. So if you want to tell me something, feel free to tell me something throughout. There's my information. Once again, you see it. I'll put the LinkedIn in the chat again. Feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. All I do is talk about this. I don't talk about food. I don't talk about things like that. Nothing too crazy. It's just the world of HR, digital, and the world of HR technology. So really, really excited to be here today. What I want to start with is I want to start with these 4 tenets. And these 4 tenets, if you take nothing else away from this session, I'd like you to think about these 4 things. And if I could, I would tattoo these on your body so that you didn't lose them. Okay? Because there are key tenets that are so important when we think about the concept of digital. And when people think about digital, they oftentimes confuse digital versus technology. And it's really, really important to understand they're 2 different things. Digital is a mindset. Digital is a mindset. Technology is simply the how to achieve that mindset. Digital is the mindset. Technology is the how. Okay, so let's talk about the 4 components that make up a strategy today. And we're going to talk about, do we really even need to think about a strategy that's not digital in today's world? Like, look at all of us. Look at how I'm looking at Howell. Howell and I are best friends here. I see the art behind him. I see his door. We're basically living, in the same apartment, yet we're 6,000, 7,000 miles away. Is it working? Is this working for you? Would it be better if we were in person? Maybe. Is this convenient for you because some of you are in your pajamas? Maybe. Who knows what the situation is, but whatever it is, we're living in a world right now that allows us to connect so much better than we ever were before. So when we think about these 4 buckets, the first one is mindset. And what's our vision? What's my vision as to how do I want things to work? So if I had a perfect world, how would I want things to work within my organization? Okay. Second, who's my audience? So much of the work we do in HR, we direct towards ourselves in HR instead of to the employees, the managers, and the leaders. Okay. And then we expect them to play along with us. But guess what? We speak HR. They don't speak HR. We didn't hire them to speak HR. We hired them to be in sales, or we hired them to be in development, or we hired them to be in X, Y, and Z. We didn't hire them to speak HR. So really important that we think about how do we design for the right audience. The third thing is realizing that people work in journeys. So think about how you all engaged in this web event. You got on, you see some commercials, you heard a beautiful introduction from Irish, you heard a beautiful introduction from Howell, then you heard me. That's a journey. That's a journey you went through. But think about it. Think about if you had to go to one screen to see the commercial, another screen to hear Irish, another screen to hear Howell, another screen to see me, and every one of my slides. What would you do? You wouldn't do it. You'd abandon. And what we really need to do is we need to think about how do we design for our employees so they go through a seamless or a frictionless journey that's natural to them, like this is, so that people engage. And then once I think through those things, then I can figure out how do I make the technology work. But where do a lot of us start? A lot of us start with technology. We go out and buy a piece of technology. We implement it, not deploy it. We implement it. And all of a sudden we say, wow, this isn't doing the job. This isn't what I thought it was. Okay. And the reason why it's not what we thought it was is we didn't take the time to truly think about how do we deploy for today's now of work instead of implementing a piece of technology just to meet our needs in HR. I'm just going to ask you if that makes sense. And type in the chat yes or no. Does that make sense? Because it's so important. It's so central to everything else that you need to do. And I tell people all the time, Howell, that I will give this presentation every day of the week, free, virtually, to any HR leadership team in the world. Because if you get this right, you can do almost anything. If you don't get this right, it's a world of hurt, and you end up paying a lot of money to try to break things down. So Howell, we have about 100 some people, more than 100 people on here, and only 3 people said yes. So I'm gonna have to pump up the energy a little bit and get more people talking. So we're about to do that. So a lot of people right now now there's more people saying yes. a lot of people right now in the middle of COVID-19 are in this mode of seeing like what happens next. I've been saying in every media interview I do that we're at the intersection of confusion and opportunity. Confusion, opportunity. And the question becomes, which way are you taking? Are you turning left towards confusion, or are you turning right towards opportunity? We have this amazing opportunity. And this rock, this is a real picture of a rock I took in Mexico on vacation last year that basically said, life's not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. And I thought it was so relevant I loved it at the time, and I had no idea what it meant at the time. Right now, it's raining. And for a lot of us, it's raining. I'm in Los Angeles. Well, it's not raining. It's sunny here. But it's raining from a business standpoint. It's raining from a personal standpoint. And our job right now is to dance. Our job is to feel green and to feel yellow, not to feel red. Okay, and because of that, that opens our first poll. I want to know how you feel. So how do you feel today? If your mood was a stoplight, are you feeling green? Are you feeling yellow? Or are you feeling red? Green means let's go. Yellow means I'm a little bit hesitant. Red means stop. I'm frozen. I have no idea what I'm doing. And Howell, I love this question. And by the way, I think that if you don't do this with your employees today, or with your peers, or with your spouse, or with your kids, I highly encourage you to do it, because we live in a world where listening for signals is more important than ever. And if we can instill this into how we are as humans, we're going to be much more human coming out of this. So it looks like we have, I'm going to wait for just a few more seconds. Vote. A few more seconds to get a few votes in. Howell, it looks like we have, you can see the results coming in, can't you?
Okay, it will be coming in a few seconds now. So everybody, thank you for participating. We're on a green, so 54%.
54% in the green, which is great. We have 42% in the yellow, which, by the way, is still good. And then we have 8% in the red. And I always tell people, if you're red, reach out to someone. By the way, if you're red, send me a note on LinkedIn and let's talk.
Wow.
Okay? Because we as humans need to be here for each other. And anyone that's red, find someone. Just find someone to talk to. I guarantee you, just talking oftentimes, will get you from green to at least a yellow. And we're never all going to be green, and we're going to dip into the yellow, and we may even dip into the red. But we need to learn how to deal with that. So I like to start with that because it's really, really important, not just from this audience here, which I care about, but more importantly, that you use this every day with your workforce, not once a year. Don't ask them once a year if they're engaged. Ask them daily what color they are. And guess what? If you do that, you can start to act on it compared to things that you used to do once a year. So we're going to talk about 10 guideposts. Okay, we're going to talk about 10 guideposts. And I'm not going to go into massive amounts of detail on this and each of these because of time, but we're going to touch on every one of them. How do I have an aligned mindset? Why has work changed forever? What does a new operating model for HR look like? Why do we have to have an employee experience layer? What are the moments that really matter now? who are the managers and leaders in the new world of work, and why are they important? Where does people data come into play? Let's stop calling it HR analytics, which has never gotten off the ground, and let's start thinking about people data. How do I, as HR, think about this new digital workplace that people are asked to work in? Why do I need to revise my roadmap? Why do I need to revise my roadmap? And then finally, what is this now of work mindset that I need, and how do we move forward in achieving it? So those are the 10 things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about them very, very quickly from a time standpoint. But as I said before, if you ever want more detail on these, LinkedIn, best way to reach me. You can also follow, I don't have the link right here, but I'll put it in later, the link to the Leapgen page, which we put out a lot of content on these things and do a lot of live chats as well. So every organization is moving from somewhere to somewhere. So the name of my first book, I called it Now to Next, because I didn't want people to think that they were ever behind. Okay, everyone is somewhere now, and everyone is going somewhere next. And that's really, really important to keep in mind. But the other thing that's really important to keep in mind is you're writing your book. You're writing the book as to where you're going. Howell's not writing your book. I'm not writing your book. Irish isn't writing your book. No one's writing the book for you. You're writing the book yourself. But to write the book, these guideposts we're going to talk about will help you. They'll help you move from the now to the next. And one of the great ways that I've found over time to actually answer, oh, I see someone put the link to our Leapgen page in the chat. That's great. Thank you, Jess, for doing that. Follow Leapgen there as well, and that'll help you with some of this content. But so how do we get there? The way we get there, and the way that I've found that's fascinating to get there, is to answer this question. We all know it's 2020 outside of work, but what year does it feel like inside of work? Okay, when I post a job and I apply for a job, does it feel like 2020? When I get onboarded, does it feel like 2020? If I want to change my address, does it feel like 2020? If I want to find a document that tells me how I'm supposed to come back to work post-COVID, does it feel like 2020? Okay. If I say I want to transfer someone, does it feel like 2020? If I want to find a report about the diversity in my organization, do I just type something in, or do I have to call IT? Those are main questions to ask. So I would love it, you guys, if you put in the chat. So it's 2020 outside of work. What year is it inside of work? What year does it feel like inside your organization? Pre-COVID, when I was able to travel around the world and do speeches, most people would say it's somewhere between it feels like somewhere between 2005 and 2010. Okay? People still require signatures. People still take photocopies of things. People still pass papers around. I still have 19 levels of approval. I still do my performance review once a year. I still do an engagement review once a year. My candidate experience doesn't match my employee experience. I could go on and on and on and on. But what's so important to you guys to realize is it's 2020 outside of work, but guess what? It's 2020 inside of work also. And there's no excuse. There's no excuse for that chasm anymore. Okay? We started in this B2C mindset where we move people to business to consumer. And we started to say, hey, guess what? I can do everything on my device. Totally cool, but you can't do your HR stuff. Why? Well, because none of our employees are ready. That's not true. That's not true. It's so, so important that we realize that we have to think about the workforce as it's 2020 outside of work and 2020 inside of the work. The way we start that is with an aligned mindset. And we have to ask ourselves these questions. First of all, what matters now? Not what mattered 10 weeks ago. What matters now? The answer has changed. I guarantee the answer has changed. If it hasn't changed, your company's probably going away. I don't mean to be so bold. but what matters right now to your workers has changed. Okay, which means we need to think about, how do we change? What is high impact right now is different than what it was 10 weeks ago. We need to take those two things, create this clear vision, and get alignment between HR, IT, and the rest of the enterprise saying, guys, for the next 3 months, this is what's most important. For the next 3 months, this is what's most important. Okay, if you don't have that, once again, I beg you, like, please just take a day, stop what you're doing, and realign. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be working on things over here. The organization needs things over here, and you're going to find yourself creating a bigger chasm than you had before. So we have to play offense and defense together right now. As the same person, as the same team, we have to play offense and defense, meaning we have to keep the lights on, but we also have to transform. And that's really, really hard. It's really, really hard, but it's also really, really important. So the alignment between organizational objectives, HR and people objectives, and then our digital objectives must take center stage and be reprioritized. Okay, and we're going to talk about prioritization a little bit later. But just please, the alignment, organizational objectives, HR people objectives, digital objectives. Okay, they need to be aligned. If they're not aligned, you're working on things that are not tied to where the organization needs to be focused right now. I hope that makes sense. That's number one. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys this poll, this question. Have you begun to rethink this strategy over the last 10 weeks? Have you begun to think differently about what this strategy is in this new digital world? And it's very easy to say yes or no to this question. Everywhere, I do these sessions a lot all over the world, and I get about, I don't know, I can't see the results, but I get about 80% yes, 20% no over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And what's always fascinating to me is the yes means we're talking about it, but we haven't actually started to do anything with it yet. And the doing is much harder than the talking. So I phrase this question on purpose because have you begun? It is time to begin. And the reason I put this poll here is the rest of the time we're going to talk about what do you do. Okay, so we can go ahead and end the poll. And Howell, I don't know if you want to reveal the results.
So in a few seconds, we'll be revealing the results. So to our Zoom participants, please accomplish and answer the poll question number 2. Have you begun to rethink digital HR people strategy? That's not simply a tech project plan to address the new now of work. Okay. So in a few seconds now, result is 93%. They have begun rethinking, sir.
Oh, those numbers don't seem those numbers don't seem to add up right.
93% they have started, at least here in the Philippines, to rethink.
But 23% said no.
That's right. So it should be 90. That's right. It's more than 100. So this could be, and which is why this could be a technical glitch. Can we report this to Zoom?
We need to rethink our digital strategy here a little bit. It looked that if you do the quick math, it is about 75-25. The numbers wise. So good to see, but funny. And the other thing I just wanted to say is I don't know if you noticed how many people voted, but it was about 85 to 87% of the people voted. That's amazing engagement. So wow, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being engaged with what we're doing. So number 1, we talked about the mindset. Number 2, work has changed forever. And because work has changed forever, what we need to do is we need to realize that as this next normal comes into focus, we have to stop processes and journeys that don't matter right now. Okay, and I paused on purpose. We have to stop processes and journeys that don't matter or don't add value right now. So we in HR do a lot of things because guess why? We've always done it that way. It's inertia. It's status quo. Howell told me I had to do it that way. But this is our time, you guys, to ask the question and say, do we really need to do this? Does it really add value right now? And work is being redefined weekly. What I thought was going to happen with coronavirus 8 weeks ago is different than what I thought 6 weeks ago, which is different than what I thought 4 weeks ago, which is different than what I think today. And that's changing. That's going to continue to change over the next 12 months, which means we have to think about how agile can we be, stop thinking about a static strategy, and truly think about, I'm going to need to shift and turn a little bit and navigate what this now looks like, which means I need to have an operating model in HR to do this. Okay? I cannot have a group of HR people saying this is what we're going to do, and then a technology group over here that's not at the same table saying this is what we're going to do. Does that make sense? We have to work together and say HR is now a digital function. Period. End of story. HR is now a digital function. Okay? There's no who's going to say we can't say that? No one. Like, just grab it and say it. Okay? Now that we grab it and say it, now what do? We need to align ourselves to make it work. So we need to think about how do we break these silos of recruiting, performance, learning, compensation, benefits, and then, oh, by the way, there's the technology group that has benefits and portals and intranets, and they don't tie together. We need a sequenced, coordinated model. A sequenced, coordinated model around how do we drive digitization of the function and then leverage technology to think about what we do. Continue to work in silos, or we continue to say HR is not digital. We are not going to meet the needs of the new now of work. Period. End of story. So grab it. Like, just grab it. It's there. Like, people always say to me, how, like, when's the world going to change so that we can become digital? Hello, it's here. Like, it's right here in front of us. There's no excuse. There's zero excuse. So that being said, we have to grab it. And we have to realize that the days of having an HR organization, an HR operations organization, an HR technology organization, all separate, those are over. It's one function. We're one. We're one team. We're better as one. Okay? It's time to bring all of that together into creating this mindset, this digital mindset for the organization. I hope that makes sense. If you feel like chatting, please type yes or no. I'd love to see what you're thinking. Or if you want to say something else, you can say whatever you want to say. But I'd love to see what you guys are thinking about this. And I hope that you can use these slides, to go into your organization and teach them as well. Because this is a movement that we're on. It's a movement, and we have to grab it quickly. Okay, number 4, I'm sorry. The employee experience layer is no longer a nice to have, it's a must. Yeah. And what is the employee experience layer? The employee experience layer means that we have to get rid of all of these dumb link farms. These portals and intranets that say, click here to do that, or go to this system. Click here to go to this system. Click here to go to this system. Click here to go to this system. Type in your search and get 115,000 responses. Like, that's not service. It's not service. We would never accept it as customers, and we should never let our employees be subject to it. Yet so many of us have these outdated link farms, and those link farms create terrible experiences. They make people frustrated. They abandon, and what do? Call. And because they do that, we can never move the profession down the road or down the field because we're so busy answering the phone that we can't play offense and defense together. So a key component of all of our work is making sure that we think about this employee experience layer, these portals, these intranets, how people search, how they find information, if they talk to their device to ask it a question, whatever it is, based on the persona, the type of audience, the type of worker you have, blue collar, white collar, pink collar, yellow collar, however they work, we need to meet them where they are. Okay, we can't have them hunting to find us. Okay, we'll never move the ball down the field where we need to move it if that's the case. Number 5, moments that matter. I'm sure some of you have heard these things. We've talked about these comments about moments that matter. Joshua's quote almost just brought me to tears in the chat. In fact, it's so important, I'm going to read it. HR has already evolved from back office to critical value delivery ecosystem that meets business and people goals. Today is now the finest hours for HR. I completely agree, Joshua, excuse me. I completely agree with you. It's the finest hour for HR. And at the same time, I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to add to it really quickly. It's the most important time in HR's history. Because we either step up or we get pushed down. We either step up or we get pushed down. And if we don't step up, and it's great that you're already there, Joshua, but you have to step on the accelerator. This isn't time to take your foot off the accelerator. This is time to keep your foot on the accelerator and continue to do what you just said. Now, what you just said is not the same for every enterprise, I guarantee you, where we've evolved, but that's the goal. And Joshua, I hope people connect with you because I'm sure you have something to teach them based on your quote. Number 5, moments that matter now. We've talked about moments that matter. Moments that matter. I'm having a baby. I'm changing my address. I'm getting married. Blah, 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 blah. Those are all moments that matter. Yes, they do matter. They matter to an employee. And in a normal world, they are things that HR thinks matter to the employees. But right now, there are things that matter more than that. How I communicate laying someone off. How I communicate hiring someone back. How I onboard someone safely in a world where I can't have them into an office. How I try to teach people that distributed work will work for us. How I teach managers and leaders to actually reach out and touch people and ask them how they're feeling. There's so many things that are so important to get ready for this new now of work. I ask you guys and beg you guys to think about your agendas a bit and say what really matters now. And do I really have to focus on taking these transactions and every single one of them doing this thing called self-service, because the employee does it once a year? Or are there things that matter more right now? And by the way, there's nothing wrong with what I said around self-service, except don't call it self-service, call it direct access. But all that being said, let's prioritize these things that matter now. Our job over the next 3 to 6 months, and notice I'm breaking strategy into a much smaller time horizon than people are comfortable with. But anyone that thinks that they know what the world's going to look like 6 months from now, I would pay a lot of money to have lunch with them because they don't. Our job is to enable experiences, communications, and capabilities that can create the biggest impact over the next 3 to 6 months. The biggest impact. Okay, now, biggest impact to who? If you answer it biggest impact to HR, you need to go one step further. You need to take it to the other side of the equation. So the biggest impact should be the biggest impact on the workforce, the biggest impact on the business, the biggest impact on the future of the organization. Okay? Does that mean HR doesn't matter? No, I'm not saying that at all. Thank you, Jose. The biggest impact on the enterprise. Trust me, please, after doing this for quite a while, as you can tell by the gray on this beard, that at the end of the day, if you focus on the enterprise, you win. If you focus on HR, you always end up trying to move to that next level down the road. Okay, so really, really important to keep that in mind. The other thing that we have to realize is that who's our main communication point? Our main communication point for everything we do are managers and leaders. They're managers and leaders. And a lot of managers and leaders have no idea how to manage and lead in the new now of work. What? I can't actually see this person coming into the office? What? They're not at their desk? What? It's okay if they work from home? What? I mean, what am I going to do? I don't have a stand-up meeting every day where I see them? In a world of distributed work, in a world that's changing, because guess what? Organizations have realized that some of this stuff works when people work from home. All of a sudden, what we're saying is managers and leaders need to have a different lens. They need to switch their lens at the moment, especially as I'm dealing with a pandemic that's health related. From managing and leading about work to managing and leading about life. From managing and leading about work to managing and leading about life. I need to care about Howell deeply. And if I'm a manager and leader, or I'm a new manager or leader, and I don't have that built into me, we as HR owe it to managers and leaders to provide them tools to listen. So, we've been thinking a lot about this concept of workforce experience, but it's changed overnight. And what we need to think about now is these words I'm about to share: communication, coaching, feeling, well-being. You're like, that's the soft stuff. I'm like, no, it's not. That is the hard stuff. Communication, coaching, feeling, and well-being. Buying a new piece of technology that's got a shiny new user interface is not going to do that. Does that make sense? It's not going to do that. It might help us as humans talk to other humans, but buying a piece of technology that has a good, it looks really pretty. Oh, it works on my iPhone. Oh, it works on my iPad. If you have managers and leaders that can't communicate, coach, feel, and think about people's well-being, that's a bigger problem. So I need to refocus and make sure that managers and leaders become a big focus of my work in HR. Number 7, people data. People data, it's a whole new world. That's all I can say. We've spent the last 20 years collecting data so that we could count people. How many people have applied? How many people have we termed? How many people got a 3 on their performance review? How many people went to school in this place? How many people work in this location? That's all just counting people. But we're shifting from counting people to making people count. We have to shift from counting people to making people count. In doing that, I have to throw away this concept of HR analytics, which are basically me looking at myself in the mirror as an HR person and say, I want to look through a window. I want to look through a window and provide insight to the organization, not a mirror to see how I'm doing myself. And what that means is that we're going to start thinking about knowing more about our people than we've ever known before. Not just where they work, not just the department that they're in, but who they connect with, how they're feeling, what they're thinking. Are they in? Are they out? Are they red? Are they green? All that stuff. And if I do that, and as you can see from the slide, in real time, not the dumb once a year engagement survey, excuse my passion. But, if I asked Howell in January how he was doing, how engaged was he? He'd answer one question. He'd answer it a certain way. It's now May, And that's about how long it takes to get results back from an engagement survey. And I got that data as a manager or leader now, and you showed me that, I'd be like, what the heck are you telling? What are you saying? What are you even asking me to do? Tell the employees that this is how they felt in January, and how do I act on it now? I need to be able to have data that I can act on right now. So if Howell's feeling red, I need to, like, the minute this thing's over, I need to have a conversation with Howell. Not 5 months from now. And I don't need it to be anonymized. Like stop that. Like, oh, there's someone on my team that's red. Let me play the guessing game to guess who it is. That's not how we live. That's not human. Like, somehow we took the human out of human resources by putting in place these processes that we thought would, like, help, but instead they hindered. And they made us count people instead of making people count. So this new world of people data is so important to keep that in mind. We have to rid ourselves of these once a year things and truly have a better understanding on a real-time basis of what our people are thinking. And then the last thing, just on this people data thing that I just want to talk to, is this whole world of talent management. We've spent trillions of dollars and billions of hours rolling out things called performance reviews, or rolling out things called succession plans, or rolling out things like blah, whatever you want to do. And guess what? The managers and leaders and employees hate them. And guess what happens when they hate them? They just check the box. They don't use them. So what better time than right now to grab this problem, say, I'm going to put in place a better way to get feedback, to give feedback, to give coaching, to get coaching, to check in, to get checked in upon. That's making people count. That's not counting people. Okay, so it's our time. It's our time. Back to the comment that was made earlier about from Joshua. Today is the finest hour, but it's the finest hour if we are adaptable. What's the key trait of adaptability? Unlearning. The key trait of adaptability is unlearning, which means I need to think about how do I unlearn a bunch of the stuff that's in my head. Number 8, the digital workplace is now a big part of HR's responsibility. What does that mean? What's digital workplace? Well, guess HR played this role where they'd say, hey, guess what? We need this color glass in the cafeteria. Otherwise the employees aren't going to like it. Oh, and wouldn't it be cool if every employee had a water bottle like this? Because then we would be saving money on throwing plastics away. Oh, and wouldn't it be cool if we gave a little phone case to people so they felt good about work? So I in HR had a role of worrying about the physical workplace, but somehow I had no role to play in the digital workplace. Whose job was that? It was IT. It didn't make any sense. And in today's world, there's only one workplace. And whether I happen to be doing it from a company-owned facility or whether I happen to be doing it from a personal-owned facility should make no difference. Okay, there's one workplace. Now, there may be some perks that you want to offer if you do it from a company-owned facility, just like there's perks you're going to offer if they do it from home. Like maybe I'll send you a printer, or maybe I'll send you a monitor, or whatever or better webcam, whatever you need to have your workplace. But it's really important that this is part of HR's responsibility, and it hasn't been in the past. So, once again, I've been doing a lot of begging in this webinar, but I will beg HR people to realize that you need to get involved in this. Now, if you already have a digital workplace initiative going on at your organization, you don't need to own it. Like, don't say, HR has to own this. Because guess what? It's not an HR only thing. It's an enterprise thing. Managers and employees have to be involved. HR needs to be involved. Facilities needs to be involved. IT needs to be involved. But digital workplace is something that we no longer, if we're responsible for engagement, and if we're responsible for worrying about, do the employees have the tools they need to do their jobs? And I get the best talent to do their job when they need the talent. I can't say digital workplace is someone else's responsibility. It's very, very irresponsible to take that approach. So digital workplace is something that's going to be a big key going forward. Now, after everything I've talked about, you're like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff. And it is a lot of stuff. But at the same time, if you focus and you coordinate, it's a very clear path. If you create the mindset, it's a clear path. But what it's going to require is it's going to require for your roadmaps to be revised. And this is not bad. I spend so much time with organizations around the world trying to convince them that this isn't bad. Like, hey, we're driving down the road, and all of a sudden we realize that road is flooded. What do? Oh, we adjust. We go to a different road. Is it the worst? Is it inconvenient? Maybe. Is it the end of the world? No. If all of a sudden I'm going on vacation and my hotel I'm supposed to stay in has a fire, what do? I feel bad for the people in the hotel, and then I find another hotel. Like, this is for people that think that they can build strategy right now and build it for 2 years and hope that it stays static. We have to have a much more agile way. So more than likely, what we plan to do in 2020 doesn't make complete sense. Our priorities should change. Everyone's priorities should change. Budgets have probably changed. And it means that we have to think about how do we sequence and focus on this now to next. Okay, when you started 2020, you were talking about future of work. It's May 19th. You're talking about now of work. No one's talking. Don't talk about the future of work. It's now. It's here. Like, it's right here in front of us. Like, stop kicking the can. It's our time to make that work. And the way that we do that is to think about prioritization. So how do I prioritize? And this is a tool that that we use. And if you need help with it, once again, connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to share it with you. But urgency and business value. Urgency and business value. Okay, the left quadrant is how important is this? If I have a bunch of people coming back to work in 3 weeks and I don't have a way to communicate with them, what's the urgency? High. What's the business value? At the moment, high. 10 weeks ago, it wasn't high. Okay, now it should have been. I should already have that channel in place. But if I don't have the channel in place, it's a different game. If all of a sudden I'm going to stay distributed work for the next 2 years or next year or next 6 months, guess what? My priorities should change. So using a matrix like this is a very simple matrix, but something to think through as you continue to think through your journey. So this is number 10. So this is the point where I'm going to say you guys need to ask questions and start queuing up your questions. And feel free to chat away as well, because we're gonna break in a few minutes to get into the question session of this. I will say one of the questions that people always send me, and I'll do it again, is if you want copies of these slides, connect with me on LinkedIn and request them. Okay, I know that they're not going to be made available directly through the event, but if you want copies, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and ask, or I just put my email address there. Feel free to send me an email, and I'm happy to send them your way. So number 10, mindset. And when we think about mindset, we think about now as our chance. Now is our chance. I've mentioned it multiple times. Grab. We have to grab it where it's at. So we have the biggest opportunity of our careers right now. I didn't ask you guys, I mean, if you listen to my podcast, I do a podcast every day. We do a podcast every day. And one of the things I always ask on the podcast is, what gets you out of bed in the morning? To every guest, what gets you out of bed in the morning to do what you do? What gets me out of bed in the morning, or my one more thing, as I call it on the podcast, is this. It's the biggest opportunity ever to reshape the function and to reshape our careers. And I'm not, I mean, there's times that I say this and I feel like crying. I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm not just making this up. Like, there's never been a point in time, and I hope to God there will never be a point in time, where the whole world shuts down. The whole world stops working. The whole world takes a break. And the whole world is ready for a reset. Never. Like, it's never happened. And like I said, I hope it doesn't happen again. So this is our opportunity. It's a golden opportunity. And we have to break the status quo. For those organizations that said, hey, 2020 is not our year. Like, 2020 is your year. I hate the shirts that say 2020 sucks. I see these t-shirts like 2020 sucks. I hate 2020. We're going to look back in 2020, and it's not fun. Like, change is never fun to go through when you're going through it. Never fun to go through when you're going through it. But we're going to look back in 2020 and say that was, as painful as it was, that was where we changed. That was where we made a difference. That was where our function stood up, redefined itself, and made itself the value function that it is. So just in closing, before I turn it back to Howell, I'll just recap those 4 things that I asked you to tattoo on your body earlier. Our mindset needs to be created. There's a question we're going to get to in a second. That's what are some of the skills needed. I did a quick look at one of the questions, Howell. Sorry. But this is one of the most important skills, how to create mindset and how to get coordinated mindset. The second, I need to make sure I understand my people. I need to understand my audience. The third, my processes need to be reimagined. My journeys need to be reimagined to match the now of work. And then if I do that, I'm in great position to have technology be the fuel to truly make a difference. Like, we don't need to keep switching our technologies out. The reason we keep switching our technologies out is we don't do these other things first. So it's an amazing opportunity, but and I'm not saying it's going to be a lot of work, but guess who's going to make the opportunity come to life? Us. There's not going to be a CEO of a company that says, hey, HR, this is your time to shine. Go do this. There's not going to be an IT person that says, hey, HR, take this digital strategy and make it yours. So whether you're an HR leader, whether you're an HR practitioner, wherever you are within the function, this is our chance, and nothing will change unless we change and step up and get our teams to truly, truly understand it. So at this point, Howell, what I'm going to do is just turn it back over to you, and we'll open it up for some questions.
Thank you so much, Sir Jason Averbook, for a powerful presentation. So everybody put your hands together for Sir Jason. You know what? Beautiful slides, beautiful deck, powerful message. And not only that, sir, we felt you. I love people who talk with their hands and their face and seeing the facial expression, and then when you have worn your heart on your sleeves. And that's the most important thing. We felt how you care about the HR people. We can turn this critical moment into a shining moment for all of us. So beautiful, beautiful. Everybody's giving you a big hand now. Thank you so much. Sir Jason, we'll be pausing for a 2-minute break. so that you can you have your water with you. If you want to grab a bite, whatever you'd like to do for the next 2 minutes. And at this moment, we'd like everyone in the Zoom room to type in your question at the Q&A box. And when we return, the first part has been very exciting, but I'm telling you, the second part can be even more exciting because Sir Jason himself will answer your questions. So don't you go away, everyone. We'll be right back. We promise that.
Every coffee needs a lotus.
And welcome back to our HR Summit. Now, this time, the Philippine HR Summit is brought to you virtually and powered by Ariva Academy. We thank you for joining us for today's webinar under the tutelage of Sir Jason Averbook. I have been seeing a lot of appreciations, not only here in the Zoom room, but also via Facebook Live, which we are monitoring right now. We're also live streaming via YouTube and via LinkedIn. And the second part, before we proceed to that, which is the Q&A, we'd like to appreciate you for supporting our frontliners. This initiative has been thought of carefully by our President, Ms. Irish Malonda, and our dear CEO, Sir J.M. Matienzo. We would like to help you out. We would like to reach out to you during the COVID-19 pandemic. And this is a Learn and Share webinar series, which started last April, early on in April. And this is the call of the moment for us to give back. Well, we appreciated you loving us and being loyal to us when we were able to organize live events and do in-house seminars. So this is our way of giving back to you. Now, we'd like you to pay it forward by providing you with a platform where you can, with your generous donation, whether it's just $1, $10, or $2, whatever amount you'd like to share, as you gain access for free to our live webinars, you can pay forward by donating to the people who are in need through the Bayanihan Act 2020 or the Coming Together of Heroes, so that we can help the poorest of the poor. Together, let us show our support to our fellow Filipinos who are in survival mode during this difficult time of the global health crisis. So act now and let us click and donate via the www.ariva.com.ph/donation. We thank you in advance for your generosity. Now, Sir Jason, before we entertain the questions, I would like to greet our birthday celebrants. We'd like to greet Coach Bernard Marquez. Happy birthday, Coach! And at the same time, Miss Pasita Guinness. Happy birthday! Early on, Sir Jason, we mentioned the people or the places where you're being seen worldwide. Now we're going to mention some key cities and provinces where our people are participating from. Antipolo, Baguio City, Batangas, Cagayan de Oro City, Cavite City, Davao City, General Santos City, Iloilo, Laguna, Pampanga, Pangasinan, Quezon Province, Tuguegarao City, and Zamboanga City. So, sir, you have a lot of fans here in the Philippines.
Good. I'm glad. It's good to be here.
So we'd like to encourage you once again to type in your question for the Zoom participants at the Q&A box. You can do the live question as well. Click the raise hand button to notify the administrator so we can call you. And we hopefully want to hear and see you ask the question yourself. Now, for the Facebook Live viewers, we are monitoring the comment section. So you can type in all your questions. It will be forwarded to us by our team, technical team, and we'll do our best to read them all. So let's start off with the question, present question. Will it be okay, sir?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a lot of questions from Jeneline Tote or Tote. How do we function effectively as an HR practitioner in the new normal of working arrangement during COVID-19 outbreak, particularly in the Philippines?
Yeah.
And,
so, oops, sorry. Go ahead.
And if you may also answer this, how do we manage taking care of the employees by not jeopardizing the company's finances and at the same time the health of their employees?
Yeah, so great question, and this is something that HR leaders this is frontline HR people are dealing with all over the world, and I'd say one of the most important things that we have to keep in mind is that we have to lead with empathy, and that's really, really easy. So I want to make sure I explain in a second. So a lot of people think that in HR, people don't love HR. A lot of people think that HR is just HR. It's a department. This is our time to make HR really be a function that people really see the human side of the department, the human side of HR. So what I encourage that you think about how every time you interact with an employee, you're not answering a question, you're creating an experience. You're creating an experience, and throughout that experience, you're showing off and showing the employees the empathy side of the human side of HR. Now, if you do that, it opens up a whole new channel for you to drive new communication, a whole new channel for you to measure the success rate of the function. And at the end of the day, people are going to say, wow, that function stepped up to help us, during this time that we needed help as employees. So lead with empathy, lead with the human side. The question about how do we not jeopardize the financial side of the business, I truly, truly believe the way that HR organizations don't jeopardize the financial side of the business is by focus. It's by focusing. There's things that have to happen in order to keep the business running. And the empathy side and the making people count is one of them. It's more important than probably 70% of the things that we do in HR on a day-to-day basis. Maybe 50%, depending on your organization. But that's why the refocus is important. Okay? If I'm a firefighter and I have one house that's on fire and another house that's not on fire, where do I go? I go to the house that's on fire. In this case, where do I go? I go to my people. I'm for my people at the time that they need it. And every single conversation, every single day before you shut the laptop or before you turn off the computer or before you put your head down, reach out to one more employee and just ask them how they are. And if you do that, it'll make a world of difference.
Wonderful. That's a beautiful answer, sir. Now, from an anonymous attendee, what is the now of work in the academe and education? Because here in the Philippines, we'll be opening the schools come August 24, and people are fearful, especially about for their kids and when they come home to their grandparents.
So, that's a combination of the now of work, but also the now of life. And your question, and to answer your question very specifically, we're watching, and I shared this earlier, we're watching a train go by and we don't know what's on the other side of the train. Once the train goes by, we don't actually know what it looks like. So the question about what does the now of life look like, it's going to be different. And I think it's really important to understand that it's going to be different. I have two boys, they're 15 and 12. They've both been home from school for 4 months. They don't know if they're going back to school. We here in Los Angeles have our highest number of coronavirus cases today that we've ever had. And yet we have, we don't have a date when kids will go back to school. We're hoping the kids will go back to school the same date, August 24th. But what that looks like, none of us know. What's most important to keep in mind is that this is an ecosystem. Life is an ecosystem. So whether our kids go back to school or not has a big impact on how people work. And whether our kids go back to school, it's going to have a big impact on, in a lot of areas where, where grandparents do live with the families. How do I take care of those people? So it's really, really important that I think about that concept of putting in place the wires, putting in place the pipes to make sure that I can drive, this digital world and be able to continue to work under whatever circumstance, is given to us, over the next year or so, and really think about, there's someone just put in the chat that it caught my attention.
Okay.
How it's why I try to look at the camera instead of the chat, because I get distracted. But I love the chat. Adopting digital technology should be implemented now. So I love the comment, but as much as adopting, I'm going to say adapting is more important. The organization and organization. And this goes for schools too. Organizations and entities have to adapt before people adopt. Okay, I just can't put something out there and say, "Hey, adopt this." But guess what? We're still going to operate the same way we've always operated. It won't work in that case. So people and organizations have to adapt, and if they adapt, then we'll be able to adopt. And people will start adopting. And that really goes back to the mindset of what is it that I'm trying to do. I personally, I'll just say, I think that every entity, every organization should be preparing themselves for the fact that people are going to work distributed for as long as we work, which means I need to be putting in place those paths and those avenues to make sure that people can work that way. And I need to be saying, hey, if it requires person-to-person contact, and this is not because of the virus. Like, eventually, you guys, this virus thing, we're gonna remember it. It's gonna be in books and articles. But the reason that work changed. This is the precipice of it. This is the thing that caused it. But why things are going to continue the way they are going forward is not going to be because people are contagious with a virus. It's going to be because we've changed as humans how people work. The same thing happened after terrorist attacks in 9/11. From a security standpoint here in the United States, we didn't have security at airports. Guess what? Now we have security at airports. There's a lot of people that don't know why we have security at airports right now. We just do. But it was because something changed. So a change always causes an action and an outcome. And I truly believe that the outcome of this is a distributed work model that, to be honest with you, I think probably 5 years from now, we're going to look back and say, wow, that really kicked us in the butt, and moved us forward.
Thank you, Sir Jason. Now, from Iris Hamada, based on the discussion, what do you think are the top most important skills that HR needs to develop now?
So I'm going to pick on three. The first one is what I talked about earlier, which is adaptability. And the key component of adaptability is the ability to be agile, the ability to unlearn, and the ability to relearn. So number one is adaptability. Number two is the concept of how do I think about design? Okay, so we in business have so often designed for us instead of designing for employees and managers and leaders. And the concept of design thinking and personas and journeys, everything that's gone into making B2C somewhat successful is going to be key for HR people to create what I call B2Me, which is how do I create the connection between the business and me from a personal and personalization standpoint. So the second thing I would say is design thinking. The third thing I would say is storytelling. So we are going to have, as a result of the digital transformation of this function, more data than we've ever had before. And I can already see what's going to happen. There's going to be people that are going to just throw this data out to the world, and people are not going to know what to do with it. So if I would have given you, that information about how many people were green, yellow, and red, would you know what to do with that information? Most managers and leaders wouldn't know what to do. So being able, as an HR person, to tell a story, not in the language of HR, but in the language of the person talking to, the business leader, the business line, the line manager, the person that's dealing with employees every day, being able to tell stories about data is so key.
Thank you, Sir Jason. Now, from Jess Von Bank, we've challenged a lot of assumptions in the last 2 months, where people can work, how productive they can be in a distributed model, even how work can be structured and compensated to allow people to get it done most effectively. What other assumptions are you hoping we challenge or even blow up?
Oh, man. Oh, what a great question. A wide open question. So, I think that we have so much work to do in the area of careers. I think that we still think that people want careers with one company, and they don't. I think that people still think that when they go to a website, they click on careers and like, I just want a job. So I think we need to change the concept of careers. We need to change the concepts of jobs, start breaking jobs into tasks and thinking about what's the best way to get work done. What's the best way to get work done? So truly rethinking my talent strategy. And I didn't say talent management strategy. I said talent strategy. So for example, in the Philippines, if I need someone who is really, really good at taking data and being able to tell stories about it, do I need to hire them from the Philippines? No. Should I? Maybe. Do I need to have that person come to the office every day? No. Do I think I need them to come to the office every day? Maybe. So what's, first of all, to answer your question, what's so important for us to rethink is the role of talent. The role of talent. The second thing that I'd like us to rethink that goes along with that is the concept of diversity and inclusion.
Yes.
And making sure that diversity and inclusion, as I rethink talent, is not something that's separate. Like hiring, firing, promoting, training, all of that stuff diversity and inclusion needs to be infused into those capabilities. Not, I'm going to do all those things and then, oh yeah, here's the diversity and inclusion that's going to come along and be a patchwork thing. When I do that, it seems like a special needs program. It's not that. My whole talent strategy needs to have diversity and inclusion infused in it from day zero. Okay, and I'm not talking only about genders. I'm not talking about race. I'm talking about diversity of thought and inclusivity of how do people actually do and come up with what this now of work looks like. So that would be the second thing. The third thing that I think is going to blow up, or I would love to blow up. I'm not going to blow it up. It's already blowing up. Is the concept of learning and training.
Okay.
Learning and training and education is so broken. I mean, having people go through a class and, if you think about back to the concept I mentioned earlier, it's 2020 outside of work. What is it inside of work? If I want to figure out how to do something outside of work, what do? I go to a website called Google or go to a website called YouTube and figure out how to do it. When I want to learn something at work, what do? Oh, there's no training programs here. There's no opportunity for me here. There's going to be a training class, but it's in 6 months. Or, I'm not qualified to learn that because I'm not in the right position or the right job. Like, it's all broken. It's very, very broken. So, whether I say we should blow it up or, it's going to blow up naturally. This is happening in university. This is happening in K through 12 education. Education as a whole, knowledge as a whole is being transformed in front of our eyes. And anyone that thinks there's going to be any resemblance to what it is, what it was, 2 or 3 years ago, it's going to be personalized, it's going to be relevant, and it's going to be focused. It's not going to be these long compliance-based things. There'll still be a compliance component to it, but overall, it's going to be much more focused.
Thank you, Sir Jason. Now, are you good for just one more question? I know it's already almost 12 p.m. here in the Philippines, and it could be 8 p.m. in California.
Oh, it's almost 9 o'clock here.
It's 9 o'clock? No, we're sorry for that. We're extending.
No, I'm doing another session with India in a couple hours. So
wow,
I'm good.
Thank you, sir. So for the last question, we'll be combining one anonymous attendee's question and Elaine Manuel's question. How can HR transform from a traditional to digital? What are the platforms HR must know? And how can we effectively do the transition from the old process to the now of work while doing the present workloads in front of us?
Beautiful question. Beautiful question. So let's talk about the concept of trans first of all. So when we think about trans, when you had a question to me, you used the root trans twice. You used it in transformation and you used it in transition. Okay, trans means move. Okay, trans means move. So the question you have to ask yourself, first of all, when you think about that is, am I moving from one thing to another?
Yeah.
So am I moving technology? Am I just lifting and shifting processes? Or am I transforming? Which means I'm really moving how work gets done. Okay. So there are people that do process and technology transitions. And then all of a sudden they go live and people are like, this is the same thing we had before. Only a new piece of technology. That's a transition. A transformation is truly changing how work gets done. It's moving how work gets done. Okay, and I would say that technology transitions are almost worthless right now. If you're going to do a technology transition without doing transformation, it better be for just cost, and it better be, I'm not even sure what, because it's a waste of time. Because what you're going to do is you're going to do a transition, and then you're going to say, wow, we should have done a transformation. Just do them at the same time. It's going to save you a lot of money and a lot of resource. But when I think about the question about digital, the digital, once again, is a mindset. When you think about the technology, what you want to think about is oftentimes we get stuck on saying we need to buy one piece of technology to do everything, or one platform to do everything. What's most important is that we create journeys for our employees that actually make it seamless as to how many pieces of technology they're using. So when you think about the way that you digitally transform and tie this together in a way that makes sense to the employee, you think about what's your experience layer? That could be a portal, it could be an intranet, whatever you call it. Where do people go through their journeys? And by the way, anyone that wants to talk more about this, I could talk about this all day long, but I don't want to get too technical right now. Second is you want to think about what are your transactional tools. Okay, what's your tool for recruiting? What's your tool for your core system? What's your tool for payroll? It could be one system, it could be multiple systems. How do you determine if it's one system or multiple systems? What drives your competitive edge? What do we want to be great at versus what is it okay to be okay at? And then underneath that, I want to think about how do I integrate all of that together to be able to use the data in a way that makes sense. So I have an experience layer, I have a transactional layer, and then I have a data layer. Now, that might be all in one piece of technology. Okay, it might be in 50 pieces of technology. Neither one of them is bad. But what's important is that you think about what the strategy is to put those pieces of technology in place, how you want to sequence them. And at the end of the day, who's the judge and jury? Okay, who's the judge and jury? The judge and jury in the world of digital transformation is the employee, the manager, and the leader. Okay, so that being said, how do I design with them in mind, with the experience in mind, not with the user interface? Because once again, I could have the best user interface in the world, but if the experience isn't good, I order a pizza, I have a great user interface with my pizza app. But if the pizza that I order isn't what shows up, guess what? Bad experience. Do I go back? No. Just like you think about it, how many times you download an app from the App Store you don't like? A lot. Do you ever go back? No. So we have to think about who's our judge and jury. It's the employee, the manager, the leader, which means we have to have a minimum lovable product, not a minimum viable product when we think about rolling or deploying these capabilities to the workforce.
Wonderful answer. Thank you so much, Sir Jason. And thank you, Elaine Manuel and Lalaine Lizardo, for your questions. Sir Jason, the last minute of our webinar is called The Takeaway. We have received so much information from you, passionately shared by you, and we felt how you are making HR people purposeful in this time of COVID-19 crisis. So if there's one thing you'd like us to think about before we go to sleep tonight, what will that be, Sir Jason?
So I'm going to tie it back to, a lesson that is why we named our company Leapgen. Mm-hmm. Leapgen actually means something, and the part of it that means something is the word leap. Leap. Okay, and this comes from a gentleman named Steve Farber, who wrote a book called The Radical Leap. Okay, and what LEAP stands for is the L stands for love. The E stands for energy. The A stands for audacity. And the P stands for proof. So how do you love what you do, which generates the energy to do the audacious, to continue to prove that value and do that in a continuous way? And if you live your life that way, thinking about it's our time to leap, but the way we're going to leap is by loving what we do, which is giving us energy to do the audacious and to unlearn and then prove the value of what we're doing to really create this now of work together. If we make that leap together, intentionally thinking about those words, our results are going to be amazing.
Thank you so much, Sir Jason. Everybody, put your hands together for our international speaker today, Sir Jason Averbook. Sir, from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to thank you for your passion, for your purpose, for your genuine care, for your empathy, for compassion. And not only that, thank you for making us believe that we can turn this moment around. And thank you for your love. We felt your energy. And thank you for being audacious. Continue being that. And keep on proving and help us prove the world that we are still in control and we can change for the better. Thank you, Sir Jason. And God bless your next webinar with India. Keep touching lives. And we hope to see you soon in person here in the Philippines.
Would love to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Everybody, again, big hand for Sir Jason. And as Sir Jason fades out of the screen, fades in our President, Miss Irish Malonda Samson. Hello, Miss Irish. Good morning.
I'm back, Sir Howard.
Yes, you are.
Yes, that was a lot. That was a wonderful session by Mr. Jason Averbook. Thank you for sharing us the 10 guideposts for the now of work.
Wow.
So with that, a big hand to Mr. Jason Averbook.
Wonderful. And a wonderful human being.
Yes, I agree. Sir Howell, your takeaway.
My takeaway is that, well, he mentions about the people data when we used to count people, but now is the time for us to make people count, and how everything is, every decision we make should be considering first and foremost the people, and that's the most important thing. And we saw it in him. He truly is a people person, and he's not only inspiring, he is impassioned. And which is why us as leaders, we need not be focused on results alone. Results will come if we'll do exactly what Sir Jason has told us, that we lead with empathy. And that's my greatest takeaway.
That was great. To add up on that, let's be a manager and leader of work. So let's start to manage and lead, be a leader of life.
Wow.
My takeaway, got lots of notes here. Of course, accept, analyze, and adapt. As an HR, we need to spearhead and embrace the digitalization and involve the whole organization in the digitalization as well. So one quote from Sir Jason: life is not about waiting for the storm to pass, but learning to range in the rain. So
dance in the rain. Yeah, I that's also my favorite quote. I have a lot of favorites, but dancing in the rain. I imagined myself dancing in the rain when he said that.
And of course, thank you, Sir Howell, for moderating our session this morning. I will be seeing you this afternoon for another e-learning session. Yes, 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Don't go away. May announcement pass, Miss Irish.
Yes, thank you so much. And guys, this is not yet the end of our e-learning session. I have a lot of few reminders and announcements to make still. Okay. We would like to thank our following win-win partners. We would like to thank our official media partner, Earthbuzz Magazine, Focus Media, Globaltronics, City Advertising Ventures, Outcome, Elevate Media. For win-win partners, thank you to Brother, Faber Castell, Gluta C, Moringa O2, KFC, Mr. Donut, Tokyo, Lotus Biscuit, Boss Job, Sir Technology Inc. Thank you, Pinma Properties, Salary Jet, Ilawi Korea, Kitosan and Carpo Consulting, Enchanted Kingdom, Disperse, Cosmotech Philippines Inc. Mindchom's virtual preschool program. To register, please call them at 0906-486-0710 or email them at disakanabe@mindchomps.org. And if you want to place your ads here, advertise your company, your logo, your services, have a brand exposure to thousands of viewers through Zoom, FB, YouTube, and LinkedIn, please email us at marketing@ariva.com.ph. And stay on top of our insights and updates. If you want to learn more about Ariva, please stay connected and visit us on our social media pages. So please join our Ariva Academy Facebook group, like our Ariva Academy Facebook fan page, follow Ariva Academy LinkedIn page, and visit our website www.ariva.com.ph. And if you want to watch again the replay of our e-learning session this morning and the previous e-learning sessions that we had, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. Again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. For our upcoming online learning sessions, we would like to invite you again for our HR Virtual Summit PH 2020. This is a live webinar series for a cause, and we have invited international and global subject matter experts to share with us their wisdom in the HR field. And Mr. Jason Averbook is one of them, of course. Please visit our website. It's www.ariva.com.ph to register. This will be later afternoon, 3 to 4:30 p.m. We will be having going beyond coaching, turn to counseling team members in a COVID-19 situation. And we have invited again Professor Ricky De Vera to discuss this session. Breakthrough in times of crisis, how to maintain a positive state of mind during the COVID-19 pandemic. And this will be tomorrow, May 21, 3 to 4:30 p.m. And we have invited the happy doctor, Dr. Suresh Devnani. Streamlined employee engagement in the time of crisis. This will be on Friday, May 22 in the afternoon. And we have invited Ms. Mila Pascual Nudosu to discuss this session. The power of success attitudes become the person who can change during a crisis. And this will be discussed by Coach Eric Manalo. So don't forget to register May 26, 3 to 4:30 p.m. Another live webinar series for a cost transformational storytelling for a landscape of crisis and beyond. This will be discussed by Dr. Tanvi Gautam, and this will be on May 27, next week, Wednesday, 3 to 4:30 p.m. Another live webinar series for a cause, an astronaut's perspective. Expand your perspective to possibilities for growth during COVID-19. This will be next week, Thursday, May 28, and this will be discussed by Ms. Rafia Sultana from Singapore. And if you want to customize an in-house e-learning session for your company, for your team, you would like to invite our Ariva Partner Speakers Bureau and you would like to invite our international subject matter experts, please call me at 0916-695-4418 or email me at irish.arivaacademy@gmail.com. And that's it, guys. Thank you for joining us this morning. Hope to see you again this afternoon. This is Irish Malonda Samson in Ariva. It's all about being better, be safe, and stay home. Thank you.